Welcome to the Labcast by Maruti Techlabs. In this series, we speak to engineering leaders and get to know actionable insights that will help you take your development practices to the next level. I'm Bikshita, Senior Marketing Executive at Maruti Techlabs, and today, to kick things off, we are going to be talking about the authentication of users that are trying to access your applications. Now, if you are a company that has an application, which it probably does, this is for you. We are going to discuss identity server, what it is, the challenges that we faced while implementing it, how and why we implemented it, and a lot more. Now, I definitely cannot guide you all by myself. So, let's bring in the expert. My guest today is Hamir Nandaniya, VP of Engineering at Maruti Techlabs. Hamir has 16 years of experience growing and leading the engineering team at Maruti Techlabs. At Maruti Techlabs, he continues to scale the engineering organization, support the rollout of new products for our clients, and optimize performance. Good to have you here, Hamir.
Hi, Bikshita. Thanks for having me.
So, Hamir, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, so these days I'm working with one of the enterprise customer uh, who is in automotive space, and we are working to modernize the entire application. And the day starts with Stone, and then later we have a technical discussion, and then uh, we have day ends with call with our customer to give them a progress where we are on and what are our questions related to domain, and those discussions we do with customer every day. Yeah, so that's what like our day looks like.
That sounds great. So, to dive right in, I see that we recently wrapped up the implementation of Identity Server for this client.
Mhm.
Now, we implemented Identity Server for user authentication and authorization. Now, before implementing this, what was the previous method that the client was using, and what were the challenges that they faced with this?
Yeah, so previously we were using session based authentication where when a user logs into the website, a session is created, and every session is given a unique session ID from the server, and that session ID is saved in the cookie. And when a request is sent from a browser to a server, that session ID is sent along with that request, which is validated by the server, and then response is sent back based on whether that session ID is valid or not. So yeah, so the previous implementation was complete based on the session, and now we are migrating to based on identity server. The reason is like we want to unify the authentication authorization mechanism for all the different ways of accessing our product, say by API, by website, by mobile device. So that can be done easily with identity server. But the challenge we had with the session based authentication is like one of the challenges was scalability. So session based authentication requires a session ID to be stored on the server end. As the customer base grows and number of user increases, we have to increase our server capacity. So that is the one problem. Scaling is the one problem that we had in this current session based authentication. And another is like website authentication was a different. We were using username and password and API key in the API for authentication. So we wanted to unify the authentication mechanism. Like everything should be using a single authentication authorization mechanism, and that's where we look for identity server to overcome all the challenges we had in the current session-based authentication.
I see. So,
And the other challenge is like we have different products, and every product has its own username and password. So you can consider, you can think of a G Suite, Google G Suite, where we have Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google Calendar. Those are different products under one product, that is a G Suite. So if you log into the Google Drive, or if you log into Google Sheet, you don't need to log into Google Calendar or any other product. So that was the another major challenge that we had in the current implementation, where users were not centralized. Authentication author mechanism was not centralized. Like every product has to, if you are a user, you have to remember 5 username and password if you are using 5 of our products. So that's one other challenge that we had.
Right. I think as a user myself, even I cannot imagine having different sets of passwords for each of these different products of Google, right? So we use Google Calendar, Slides, Docs, Sheets, and all of these different products. And for the company that is managing all of these products, they'll also have to manage these different sets of passwords for all of these users like me. So like as a user I find it difficult, then as a company for them it'll be a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly where identity server comes at rescue. Uh, if we have the identity server, then as I say, it gives a common way to authenticate and authorize all your requests to your applications, whether it is mobile, API, web, no matter from where the request comes. But and so and that's like it also provides to overcome the problem of remembering the multiple user and password for each product. The It provides a feature that we call as a single sign-on. So if you have multiple applications, you sign in one application, then you don't need to sign in another application. So if that is where it helps in a big way to our customer. The goal is like if they have one user and password, that's it, and they should be able to use access all our products. Like yeah, as I said, we can map it with the Google products. The other like benefit that we are looking or maybe may get is from the identity server. We can keep the login interface unified for all the products. So they have the same. Say if I enable the Google login, then if user is logging using Google, then it is that they are able to access all the products using this Google login. So that's a unified login interface.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that we have talked about the challenges that identity server overcame, can we move to the implementation and the working of identity server?
Yeah. So implementation, since that was the biggest problem we had to overcome, was like how to start with implementation of identity server. Since we have like many products, then how we started is, say we have 7 to 8 different products. So we have thought of starting with the one product where we were redesigning the user interface for that particular product. So we thought of having an identity server for authentication and authorization on that particular product, and then slowly integrate it in other products. So idea was to move on one product at a time. And if it works well on one product, then definitely we will have more confidence and in integrating it with other products. But definitely there were some, challenges that we had to overcome before we integrated in all the different products. One of the challenges, we have an account and we have a users under that account within the Salesforce. So if we integrate the identity server, so there will be a single user instead of like multiple users. Say if Bikshita is a user under one account in one product, then as of now, we have Bikshita as a user on other product too. Now, if we centralize the users with identity server, we'll have only one user, that is a Bikshita. Now, that is where we had to, think more how we could manage the users without having too much changes within the Salesforce. There was so yeah, that is definitely a bigger challenge that we had to overcome before implementation of the identity server in other products.
Okay, so like you mentioned about Salesforce integration being a challenge. So can you
Mhm.
shed some light on the other challenges that you faced while implementation as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like, say, as I said, like we decided to go for integration one by one product. Since we have 7 to 8 products, we'll integrate the identity server in one product and then another. So we'll have to keep the legacy application also running all of the products as it is, and integrate the identity server and just make sure that it works in one application at a time without having any major change in the authentic, or like say for our users using the website, we don't want to have don't want to give them a major change in the how they are logging into the site right now. So without giving any major change to the users for login, we wanted to integrate that, and that was one challenge. As I said, the third party integration, like we use a lot of third parties, Salesforce, Segment, Iterable, Intercom. These are the third parties, which also takes user into the consideration. So when we centralize the users, so the integration on all these third parties is another challenge. How we manage them, because right now we have a product and user mapping. Now we have one user map with multiple products. So that was another challenge, the third party integration. Then as of now, every product has its own database and the user lives within that product's database. Now we'll have to move that user database outside of the product and use the centralized database. So we'll have to look at each and every functionality of the product where user is associated, then how we'll manage it. Then we have to think of redesigning our backend applications also. Right now, all the backend applications are MVC application, and they are working based on the session authentication. So we have to start slowly integrating our REST APIs, design a new REST API which works on the new authentication mechanism, and then we will have to think of keep both the MVC as well as the REST API working together. So yeah, there are definitely challenges that we have to overcome in moving forward this.
Okay, so now can we delve deeper into the working of identity server?
Definitely. So identity server works on a standard protocol, that is auth 2.0 and OIDC connect. So to integrate a identity server, we have to consider API gateway as well. So usually most of the you know uh, technical architects consider API gateway and identity server as a pair when they want to expose anything or outside of their as an API outside of their organization or within organization too. Like right now, that's standard. Like people use API gateway and identity server together. So in our case, we use Oslot as an API gateway with identity server 4 as an identity server. The reason for choosing the identity server 4 and the Oslot API gateway is our customer is on the .NET Microsoft .NET technology stack, and both identity server 4 and the host API gateway both are uses the .NET, and it is easy for us to integrate identity server with the OSLOT. It's just a small configuration and that's it. Authentication authorization is up and running. Yeah, so yeah, this is what we have set up right now for identity server.
Great. So, what were the primary security concerns that we solved for our client with this implementation? How did this implementation of identity server benefit them?
Yeah, so some of the benefits of identity server integration is, so one thing is centralization of the users. If I want to deactivate a user or offboard someone, I have to go to all the different products and deactivate his her account, right? In case if I have the identity server and centralized user database, if I do at one place, then that's it. I don't have to do, or I don't have to worry about all other products, right? Because everything is managed. Then enforcing the password policy. So if I want to enforce a stronger password policy, or if I will change my password policy, I can do it from one place because my user management and the authentication authorization mechanism is centralized place. Then single sign-on. So yeah, you don't have to manage login and password for each product, and having a separate password for each product and managing them is also a function. So and then yeah, if you want to integrate or like say enable Google login, Facebook login, Twitter login, that can be also done easily on all the on the login page, and all the different products can get benefit out of that. So yes, these are the some of the benefits and problem it solves.
Okay. Uh, so now we spoke about the implementation, working benefits, and the challenges that the identity server overcame for our client. So now, if uh, we spoke primarily on identity server usage in terms of user management. So now, if B2B companies were to implement identity server, what other use cases do we have for identity server other than user management?
Yeah, so identity server is not just about the user management. It also you know helps us to easily set up the machine to machine communication where user is not involved. When you say B2B integration, I understand that those both businesses are integrated using their APIs, right? Say for example, uh, Facebook is integrated with some advertisement agency, then they will must be using the Facebook advertisement APIs to create ads and manage ads. So that is what I would say machine to machine communication, where humans are not involved much. And in case of machine to machine communication, we still need authentication authorization, right? So, and for that, so identity server provides a different way, or I would say different grant types: authorization grant flow, client credential grant flow, and based on the need. If it's a user login where user can enter username and password, then you can use the authorization grant flow. If there's a machine to machine communication in case of B2B integration, you can choose client credential grant type, where you get client ID, client secrets, and then you based on that a temporary token is generated, which has some limited lifetime and which can be used for the communication. So definitely, the API is the future. Okay, most of businesses are exposed via API, and if you have identity server, allowing your APIs, whatever the APIs you have developed, which is integrated within your site, if you want to expose the same API outside of your organization to some other business, then it should be very easy by providing them client credentials and they should be able to integrate easily without having any problem. So definitely, outside of the user management, if you are a company looking for exposing your APIs to your partners in the future, then identity server is the best choice. I guess it handles everything. Even if you want, you can extend your identity server to use a single API key. Now it's based on your use case. You can customize the identity server.
So that's right, folks. As Hamir said, API is the future. Thank you so much, Hamir, for sharing your experience and such valuable insights on identity server and its implementation.
Sure. Thank you very much, Bikshita. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, thank you all for tuning in. This was the first of many episodes, and we hope you found it informative and insightful. If you have any words of encouragement, any suggestions, any guests you'd like us to interview, please drop them in the comments below. And we'll see you in our next episode. Thank you.